Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're taking on a topic that might feel a little counterintuitive, and that's the holidays.
Right.
These really beautiful festive times can introduce a level of environmental chaos that can profoundly destabilize aging adults.
hmm
So our mission today is to really dissect why that happens and give you some protective strategies to, stabilize the season.
It's probably the single most important thing for caregivers to realize this time of year.
Yeah.
Because what often looks like this sudden, really alarming decline,
Mm-hmm.
maybe in their cognitive function, or even a personality shift, it's
Yep.
actually just a predictable response
A response to what?
to
Exactly.
the environment demanding more from the brain than it can, comfortably deliver.
That insight really does change everything. Let's start with a story that I think kind of embodies this confusion, the case of Mr. H.
Okay.
So his daily routine was, rigid. 7:00 a.m. breakfast, 9:00 a.m. shower, 10:00 a.m. walk, like clockwork.
A very common and very healthy pattern.
Exactly. But the moment the Christmas tree went up and all the decorations came out, he started sleeping later, skipping his shower, refusing his walk, and his son just kept thinking nothing major has changed in his life.
But everything had changed. The sources are so clear on this. For someone who relies on those structured patterns, the sudden introduction of novelty, a huge tree, clutter from wrapping paper, new people visiting, it's just environmental noise.
So the environment used to be his co-pilot?
A city co-pilot, yes. And now it's chaotic. It requires constant conscious effort just to navigate the living room. So when those reliable routines fall apart, the brain reacts by conserving energy.
And that looks like refusal or confusion.
Avoidance, confusion, refusal, all of it.
Okay, let's unpack this. If the holiday season is rewriting the rules of the environment, what are the specific elements that create this high cognitive load? It feels so joyful to us. So what's happening under the surface?
We can really categorize that load into about 5 distinct areas of disruption, and each one immediately taxes the brain's resources.
Okay.
The foundational issue is that routines disappear overnight. All those predictable structured patterns, which are really the backbone of steady behavior, they get replaced by constant novelty.
Right, so Monday morning isn't Monday morning anymore.
Exactly. It used to be this set ritual, and now it means last-minute shopping or prepping for guests or a totally different meal schedule.
So if that underlying structure is gone, the immediate surroundings themselves must be exhausting to deal with.
Oh, completely exhausting. And that brings us right to the second one. The environment gets loud and busy.
Sensory overload.
Total sensory overload. I mean, think about just in terms of input. You've got stronger sense from baking, louder music, flashing lights on the tree, new objects taking up floor space.
New textures on pillows and thrones.
All of it. Every sensory channel is demanding attention. So the aging brain has to work so much harder just to filter out the noise, even during the quiet moments.
I hadn't really thought about the sheer physical effort of just filtering holiday cheer. So if sensory input is exhausting, I have to imagine tracking new people and social situations is the next hurdle.
That's the third pillar right there.
Mm-hmm.
Social demands multiply. It stops being a quiet day at home and, it turns into what I'd call a cognitive marathon disguised as a celebration.
That's a great way to put it.
There are new faces to track, names to recall, and just the sheer effort of following conversation cues when you've got multiple people talking in maybe an unfamiliar setting. That is hugely demanding cognitive labor.
And we haven't even touched on the physical stabilizer in all this, sleep.
That's pillar 4, sleep disruption. It's almost a given. Late meals, longer evenings full of stimulation, irregular wake times. All these little things chip away at the body's ability to self-regulate.
And sleep is that unseen stabilizer.
It's the unseen stabilizer behavior, absolutely.
Right.
It's where the brain consolidates, it cleans up the day's input. When sleep is compromised, irritability, anxiety, refusal, it's almost guaranteed to follow.
Okay, now let's go back to Mr. H for a second, skipping his shower. That feels like it ties into the final pillar. Changes break behavior chains.
Yes?
How does something that seems so minor, like moving a laundry basket or putting decorations on a counter, how does that stop a whole sequence of behavior?
Because daily tasks, getting dressed, showering, making coffee, they rely so heavily on these established environmental cues.
The things you don't even think about.
Exactly. So if Mr. H always reaches for his towel on a specific hook, and now that hook is holding a little wreath,
The signal is broken.
the visual next step signal is broken. And if that cue is gone, the chain of behavior just slips. The brain defaults to stopping the task altogether rather than manually trying to figure out what comes next.
So these are contextual changes, not sudden personality flaws. What does this disruption actually look like in the real world? What are some common shifts we might see?
The manifestations are, they're incredibly consistent across the board.
Yep.
You might see an increase in restlessness, like wandering around or pacing. There's often refusal, refusing meals, refusing to take medication, or just abandoning simple hygiene routines. Behaviorally, you'll see more irritability, or, on the flip side, a lot more napping, withdrawal.
And just not being able to finish things.
Yes, exactly. Forgetting simple steps, starting a chore and just not finishing it, or using those verbal avoidance cues like not today or I'll do it later.
I can't focus.
I just can't focus. All of those are the brain's emergency signals. It's saying I'm overloaded and I'm trying to escape.
Okay, so that's the diagnosis. If the environment is the problem, our solutions have to focus on building what you call stability anchors.
Exactly.
So let's talk about the 5 key protective strategies. First one, the foundational fix routine. How specific do we need to be? Is 7:00 a.m. breakfast crucial, or is just morning good enough?
The more specific, the better.
Yeah,
At least for the really critical anchors. You have to keep anchor routines unchanged.
protect them.
Protect the big 4 above all else. Wake time, fixed meal times, bathing or dressing time, and scheduled rest breaks. These stabilize behavior by giving the nervous system these fixed points in time, even if the space around those points is moving.
Right, but we can't skip the holidays entirely. So how do you manage the actual events without causing a meltdown?
You build a holiday light schedule. Don't try to cram a 4-hour gathering into one afternoon.
Right.
Space events out, shorten the length of time people are expected to be on, and most importantly, schedule mandatory quiet recovery time between the activities. That could be just 30 minutes in a quiet room, lights off, no demands.
And if structure is so key, we need to communicate it. I really like this idea of visual predictability. How simple are we talking here? A sticky note.
As simple as you can possibly make it. A laminated card or a little dry erase board is perfect. The strategy is to use visual predictability. It just calms anxiety because it reduces the unknown.
So what would it say?
Something simple. Morning, breakfast plus walk. Afternoon, rest. Evening, cookies plus movie. That's it. So if they ask, what are we doing today?
What?
You don't have to explain. You just point.
It manages expectations without taxing memory.
Precise.
And to combat that sensory drain we talked about, we have to designate a safe zone.
Absolutely. You have to protect one quiet room, and it needs to be a specific designated space, a bedroom, a den that is completely free of holiday decorations, music, and heavy foot traffic.
This is the reset button.
It's the place where the brain can fully recalibrate. It has to be accessible, known, and guaranteed to be quiet.
And finally, let's talk about participation. I love the idea of shrinking tasks, but doesn't asking them to only stir the batter once feel a bit, I don't know, condescending?
That's a really crucial emotional point. The 5th strategy is to shrink demanding tasks. Because behavioral momentum, that confidence to keep going, it builds from tiny achievable steps.
So it's not about taking them out of the tradition.
Not at all. It's about removing the barrier to success. Instead of wrapping gifts, ask them to add one bow. Instead of a long walk, just step outside for 5 minutes. Turning a 2-hour cooking tradition into a 10-minute stir-the-bowl moment preserves their dignity. It honors the meaning while making it successful.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Let's dig into some of those specific tricky problems caregivers face. Like when someone gets stuck mid-task, they're holding a shirt and just staring. Why does that happen?
When they get stuck like that, it's almost always the environmental cues failing them. The holiday clutter is literally interrupting the visual path they normally use to figure out the next step.
So the cue is broken and they just stall.
They stall. The solution isn't motivation. It's clearing the clutter or giving a very gentle, specific next step cue. Here's your sock.
What about repetitive questioning? What are we doing today every 5 minutes?
That's almost universally reassurance-seeking behavior. The unpredictability of the season increases their anxiety, and that triggers the constant checking.
So it's a sign of overload?
A huge sign. And that's why the visual card, that simple schedule, is so effective. It confirms for the anxious part of their brain that a plan exists and it's okay.
And what if they just retreat? They avoid the gathering, stay in their bedroom. Is that them just being unsociable?
Not at all. Avoidance is a major behavioral smoke signal of overload. The key question you have to ask is this avoidance an attempt to escape discomfort?
Even if they say they're fine.
Even if they insist they're fine. Pacing, going quiet, retreating, Those are all signs that their sensory or social buffer is just empty. You have to respect the withdrawal. They're self-regulating.
And what if they resist the very support we're trying to offer, because they're afraid of losing their independence?
That's when you have to use the concept of shared control. Never mandate help. You offer a genuine choice to reopen that cooperation.
So what would you say?
Something gentle, like,
Yeah.
which part of this do you feel you can do alone and which part should I help with? It gives them back their decision-making power.
And what about for those well-meaning family members who might be pushing too hard for things to be normal
You give them a simple script right away.
before they even start?
Before they start, tell them, we're focusing on small successes and predictable steps right now so that they feel confident and included, not overwhelmed. Most people just need the right framework to be supportive.
So when we zoom out, what does this all mean when we tie it back to the research?
It means we have the data to confirm that these shifts are, predictable and they're modifiable. The sources cite a 2017 study that found routine disruption leads to significantly higher stress responses, decreased cognitive performance, and more behavioral withdrawal in older adults.
And the National Institute on Aging confirms this pattern too, right? This link between environment and behavior.
Precisely. They emphasize that increased stimulation and disrupted schedules are what intensify confusion and agitation. So Mr. H, he wasn't experiencing a lack of memory when he skipped his shower.
He was experiencing a lack of environmental cues.
Yes. It made it impossible for his brain to know how to start that familiar sequence. So when you control the environment, you stabilize the behavior.
This has been incredibly useful. It gives us a vocabulary and a strategy to approach the holidays much more constructively. Let's leave you with one final thought to mull over.
We focused a lot on the mechanics, but we can't forget the emotional weight here. Holiday memories are potent. For many aging adults, they can trigger intense joy, of course, but also profound withdrawal. That contrast between what used to be and the reality of now can be deeply painful.
So the routines are about more than just predictability.
So much more. Gentle routines and these small, achievable traditions, they don't just stabilize behavior. They help bridge that emotional gap safely. By prioritizing stability and dignity, we make sure the holidays can honor their past without erasing their comfort in the present.
That's really compassionate pacing.
It is.
A wonderful thought to end on. Thank you for walking us through this deep dive.